get you Anastasia.
It's that time, folks. We are talking about the Reliquary once again, and it is part 8 today. And here we stand in all our glory, currently standing at about 17 inches tall. The overall Reliquary is pretty much done, body-wise. So the thing is, we need to move on to painting. I thought about it. We were working on electronics last time, as you saw, but then I realized I can't plug in the electronics until we actually finish painting and final modifications of the body, so that stuff's gonna come first. So I have been looking at the Reliquary as is for the longest time, just that simple gray that came from the 3D printer itself. That it's been so long I had forgotten what the original thing actually was supposed to look like, so that wasn't going to be a problem. A quick Google should have shown me the image and the color that I needed. It got a little bit more complicated than that. The Burger King commercial wasn't just for show. I was looking at the color palette of the prop actually used, and to me that looks like it's supposed to be a copper or, a brass. But when I expanded everything out and pulled every image that I could that showed a different shot of this thing, for the most part it all seemed to line up with this weird, like, tan looking stuff. That doesn't really scream brass to me or any kind of metal, so I might have to take some creative liberties. Even with the final, like, hero shot of the item in quote, I still don't have a very good indication of what it's actually made out of. It could be steel, but it just seems to be kind of dark and just tan. For the most part, I've been utilizing the Burger King commercial as, like, the official palette in quotes for the item itself, because that's the cleanest, like, coloration that I can see. But the thing is, I realized at the tail end of the video, it shows the spread of Happy Meal or Burger King, Kids Club, whatever, toys that came in the meals, and one of them was the Reliquary. So I decided to do a little bit of Googling. Honestly, one search, Anastasia, 1997, Burger King toys, got a result. First things first, thank you, Fast Food Toy Reviews, for this lovely image. That's a horrible representation. That is an ugly, just sad, sad thing. It's not the point. I just hate it. But we're looking at two colors here. We got the gray and this more darker gray. I'm calling those silver. So that's kind of where I started to look into things about a silver coloration. And if you want to take a look over here, so we got a pewter right here, but this is what I want you to look at. That's a tarnished silver, supposedly, and that kind of matches the overall display of the Reliquary, so we're going to be trying to match that silver coloration. So I am no artist, but I think we're dealing with 3 coats of paint here. The first coat is going to be the black. The black needs to get into all the little nooks and crannies of, like, the scales and stuff for it to kind of reflect that darker patina look of aged silver. The other coat, the second one, is going to be obviously the silver that'll give its coloration. Then the third is probably going to be a light dry brushing of something tan to kind of give it that weird yellowish tint. So in theory, easy, but I have said in theory many times, and I have been wholeheartedly wrong. So the only spray paint I got on hand is this Rust-Oleum. I'm not going to use this, mostly because it's got that black glossiness to it. I want something a little bit more matte, I think. To compensate, I do have this right here, simple, humble, dollar store acrylic paint. The other thing is, I don't know if I really want to paint on this first go, because this is my master project so far. This is supposedly the final piece. I don't want to print another one because it takes too freaking long, so I want to make sure I do everything right, so I have an idea. We are going to utilize the Monument to All My Sins. We're going to go ahead and use this old piece right here, which was the original master copy, as a painting palette to kind of give it a test drive, so that way we don't ruin the master copy. I'm not going to film the process. It's not going to be too glamorous. I'm just going to goop this onto there and just show you when it's done. And so here we are, starting from the top coloration. We have this anniversary silver for the most part. Looks okay. The color palettes, they blend a little bit because they're so close together. The camera's not doing it justice, but there's just a slight difference in this one to this one. The second one here is this champagne coloration. You can see it a little bit better on the bottle than you can on the figure. But I think my winner that I got going on is this pearl right here. It keeps that little bit of a tan coloration going onto it, and I don't know if the specs are intentional or if I just did a very poor job painting it, but I think pearl is our winner. So I decided to, before painting, examine the electronics and how they were going to go into the overall body of the reliquary. So that's where I ran into yet another friggin' snag. My issue is that the plug I need for the power was too frickin' fat for the hole, so I had to drill them out. This one worked out fine. I had a little issue with this one though. As you can see, it just tumbled off there. But you couldn't even tell, so I think this is still going to work. The drill, as I expected it would, snapped the piece here, and it snapped the bottom piece down here. So, good news, the seams are basically clean fractures, so I could just wedge it back on and glue it and hope nothing happens to it. So that's what I'm going to do. This has escalated into some frickin' nonsense. So the other issue I ran into is up here in the corner, because the reservoir itself has to come up like past the seam, so I had to burrow this out a little bit more. That worked fine, but now it's this coil of wire that I'm trying to get into that is just requiring a whole little modifications here and there. Like this part right here, I'm gonna have to break this wall just so this thick ass wire can just get next to the other wire. So pray for me, will ya? And just for a little change of pace, let's see if I can just get this done on camera so you guys can see exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm breaking the actual thing. Okay, well, that's not good. Okay, thinking. Let's just twist the other way. Okay. Okay. Everything's going wrong. Working. Gentle. Okay. We got it cracked open. And now we can take the wires and put them through the hole without issue. This isn't the worst thing in the world. I was thinking of doing like a layer of tape along the inside seam anyway. That way everything stays inside. So this in theory should be closed up. So the next thing I did is essentially just loosely wound this all in a circle. That way it just saves on space inside the channel. I don't know how much room I'm going to have for electronics and lights and stuff like that. So hopefully this will just save on space and everything will be hunky-dory and kosher, and that way I'll never have to worry about it ever again. Whatever you do, don't be like me trying to tape this fucking thing with tape at the bottom and just slowly spinning it around. Alright, next is just the snaking process then, which should be relatively simple. Just everything just needs to be cooperative and travel in the hole. So, at the top there, grab the hole. Ooh, it's kind of fat wire, but okay. Okay, that's about the length I need. So we're going to switch over to the other one here. But, inside channel is 100% the way to go on this one. To be honest with you, I think I should just be able to glue that back on, but that's okay. We're just fighting it right now. Because that's a little bit thick right there, pain in the ass. A little bit more. Get in there. Oh my god, I gotta break it in. There we go, okay. Bad angle here, that's okay. Alright, you're there. Okay, sweet. Okay. Next, we're gonna struggle getting the fucking reliquary in there. See how everything lines up. Okay, nothing's in the way. Good. In you go. Tube. Alright, this goes on there. Let's see. Perfect. So you see how that goes? Right there. Perfect. Maybe not perfect, but we'll see. Okay. For the most part, we are there. Okay, that's where it lines up. Good. Alright, let's raise this up just a smidge. Because then we take this part and put it right on around in there. And then slide that on. And through there. Oh, thank God, it all fucking fits. I have a little bit extra wire, but that's okay. I can coil that up and just wedge that in there, but it fits, thank God. And the other important thing is that I actually remembered to make sure that that was in the right spot before I taped everything together. Hooray! That's part 8, folks. This video completely got away from me. It was supposed to be just a simple painting video, paint the body and be done with it. Then it turned into wires, and then it turned into positioning, then it turned into taping. It became a mess. And guess what? We're not even done yet. I'll have to reposition it a little bit more, actually get things finalized, and I don't know how I'm going to get electronics in there. I'm going to have to just look at soldering one more time. So stay tuned for part 9.